playoff bound. Feels great, baby, as one of my former favorite quarterbacks said. Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski back on First and Now. Lions stifling Tre Ford in the Edmonton Elks last week. Big one, home opportunity, chance to clinch a home playoff game against Saskatchewan, and we're back here on the podcast to talk about it all. And Nick, yes, that's all we heard last week was how this Lions defense wasn't playing like it was at the start of the year, how Tre Ford was going to cause all these problems, and we saw none of that. RP's unit was having none of that. We're going to hear from Ryan Phillips on this episode. But Nick, I know you got some great shots as always. How are you, and what was your view on that excellent win?
Yeah, definitely feeling great after that victory. Always nice to clinch a playoff berth with that coming too. But yeah, 7 sacks. This unit's they've proven to be capable of doing that kind of performance before. And it was very impressive against Tre Ford. It was really the talk of the league, and obviously going wild this last month with his legs, and really didn't see any of that until the final drive. I think he had about, like a dozen yards rushing prior to that final drive, and then I think he tripled that. Or
finished with 43, I believe.
Yeah, on 2 garbage time rushes, right? Once it was a 2-score game at the end there. So, fantastic win. It really, I know this unit believes in itself, but it really talk the talk and walk the walk on Friday night in Edmonton.
Yeah, you mentioned the sacks, including one by Sione Tiuhema to seal the deal late on the Elks' final third down push before the Lions ultimately iced it with the Sean White field goal, his second or third field goal, I guess it was, of the night. 4 additional tackles for loss. I know you go through your old box score there on CFL.ca. And loading up the box and had a consistent rush going. And really, when Ford escaped or when they dumped off a short pass to one of the receivers or even the running back Kevin Brown, it just seemed like the tacklers were there, swarming them all around, not letting them pick up that yards after the catch. And shortening the field was a big part of it. Field position is always key. Lions, of course, offensively come out firing. A 7-play scoring drive where VA went 6 of 6, I believe it was. Lead 21-7. And then, really the only thing that kept Edmonton in it were those ill-timed turnovers. A couple of Adams interceptions. Taquan Mizell losing a fumble, which led to some Elk points. But thankfully, the offense just kept pounding away, and nice little game for Smoke, over 100 yards. But we're crediting the defense when really all 3 phases deserve kudos. And even Terry Williams, I thought he was going to take another one back to the house.
So close
in that first half. But sounds cliche, but a good team win. And as a result, this team's officially heading to the playoffs.
Yeah, you said it best. Smoke Mizell going for over 100 yards in the game, a big 48-yard touchdown to kind of pull away when it was really back and forth there in the third quarter. And he's someone who's been the RB1 all season, right? And he's someone this coaching staff's believed in right from training camp. And he's suddenly approaching 1,000 rushing yards on the season too, right? So he's had a fantastic year. And I know some people are questioning the run game, but I mean, when you have several performances like that now against an Edmonton team, Smoke Mizell is definitely proven to be one of the better running backs this season in the CFL. And yeah, it was a really clutch performance too for the whole run game and the whole offensive line too.
Yeah, and considering they made the switch, David Neville started at left guard with Andrew Pearson as the extra. And what was encouraging about the ground attack for me is that's the production they're going to have from here on in, especially when they go outside. Have to go into Hamilton in a couple of weeks from now, October the 13th, Friday the 13th in Hamilton. Hopefully that will be a scary one for the Tiger Cats, but that may have to go outside potentially in a Western final. Lions again will officially lock up a home playoff date, would either be the Western semi or the Western final, but very much in the driver's seat for first place. Have a big one, the Gravy Bowl with Winnipeg in town. Lions and Bombers tied at 10-4. We'll talk about the other games going on in Week 17 before we're out of here, but yeah, that's the template they're going to have going forward here, as these games are going to feel more and more like real playoff games every week that goes on here.
Yeah, and at the same time, though, I think this offense is being comfortable with an air raid. They've proven they could win games like that. Vernon obviously comes short of 300 yards on Friday night, but I mean, I don't know if we're teasing something here, but I think we have the best receiving core in the league right now, and it's scary that this late season addition
I'll go with
is
that.
looming. And Mr. Dominique Rhymes, who had I think it was 1,500 yards last season, right around that range, just lit the league on fire last season. So. It's encouraging though when you see a team win through the air and air it out and come back again, like a game against Ottawa where they strictly had to rely on the passing game. But then last Friday, it's a lot of the ground game that's winning in. It's a lot of the short passes. You saw, I mean, Justin McInnes' touchdown was a flat caught for a touchdown. Javon Cotoy's was a flat where he gets like 50 yards of yak, throws up the peace sign in the process too from Big Cat. So this offense is doing it in a lot of ways right now, and that's what we're going to need come playoff time, right? It's going to be. There's no easy games in the playoffs, so you need your A+.
No easy games at any point of the year, really. And yeah, Dominique Rhymes, 1,401 was the total a year ago. Digging into my secret back-end files that the general public can't see because for whatever reason, previous year's stats are a bit of a little elusive right now. We'll leave it at that. And we're expecting Rhymes back. His 6 games on the injured list are up. You heard Coach Rick last week saying the plan is to get the Ferrari out of the garage next week, and next week is here. We're recording this on a Monday. Start of the week was a walkthrough format practice to start. A lot of that is guys healing from things, getting late in the year. You want to be fresher as the week goes on and gets longer. So who knows what the true reps would have been if it was a full practice, but Rhymes was out there taking part with the starting offense. Guys like Suk Chung, speaking of the offensive line, Suk Chung, maybe Dane Evans even, those guys are going to have to get some work done in order to be activated. I would expect Suk maybe gets a week off, but we shall see what day 2 and 3 of the practice week can hold. So maybe it's a situation where Mr. Pearson works his way back into the starting lineup and you have him and Neville at the guard positions. But we'll worry about the depth chart when it comes out. But yeah, best receiving core in the league. You said it. I'll agree with it. Some people in different markets may have an issue with it, but we're saying it. Hollins is likely to hit 1,000 yards this week, maybe Keon Hatcher as well. And as much as I'm talking about how important this running game has to be, the Lions have the skill position players, Nick, to really compete with anyone for this Grey Cup chase.
Well, it's funny, if we're saying that too, based on just numbers alone, this BC offense is averaging over 305 passing yards a game. No other offense is averaging over 292 yards passing a game. So it's kind of proof in the pudding right there that this Lions attack is deadly. And then also looking back to Friday, like shout out like David Neville, like you said, making his first start, and you're looking back at both the Taquan Mizell's rushing touchdowns, and it's Neville and Couture with this excellent blocks that allow Mizell to go untouched into the end zone. McInnes also getting involved in the blocking game too, something that's been underrated. McInnes is a gunner. McInnes blocks gunners now on punts now too, right? So he plays special teams as well and plays a role in that. It's not just Taquan Mizell sprinting because he's wide open. It's because offensive linemen are getting him wide open. And that's the beauty of a football player, right? Is that it's all 12 guys executing their job and getting it done on the field, right? So, but yeah, it's encouraging stuff from the stretch run here.
Yeah, we'll talk more about the defense. We'll talk more about this upcoming game with Saskatchewan, Orange Shirt Day game. Plenty of outstanding initiatives being planned for that. Head to our website, bclions.com. Some great videos at our YouTube channel. But to me, a play that kind of ended up flying under the radar. Remember the Lions leading 24-17 at the half. The Elks get a field goal miss and a single to start the second half, and that was a drive where they just couldn't seem to be stopping anybody. But luckily, they don't break. There's that old saying again, bend, don't break. Field goal missed by Dean Faithful. The Lions have, I think, 2 straight 2-and-outs to start, and then held Edmonton again. And then they come out facing a 2nd and 10 on their side of midfield, and VA with a great throw hits Alex Hollins on a bit of a seam route, and that kept the drive going. That was right before Smoke went for his second one. So Alex Hollins on the stat sheet, maybe not the last 2 games what he's been doing lately, but that was a big play by him.
That was a play too that in live time I didn't realize how great of a throw that was. That's why I like to watch the broadcast back on the next day. I actually no free ads here, but a very good restaurant or a chain restaurant opened up literally beside my apartment on this past week. So I picked up a nice to-go bowl from that place and rewatched the game on TSN the next morning. But that second down, it's 2nd and 10, and I don't want to open up a can of worms with the whole MLP debate there, but that play right there, there's few quarterbacks who, one, have the guts to make that throw into that window, but there's also, two, the actual talent to throw that ball as hard as they can, put it in literally the only spot it can be for a reception, and Vernon Adams Jr. making that awesome play to get a first down there, right? And then you said the very next play, it's Smoke Mizell's rushing touchdown. So Vernon, he did it with his legs too in that game. There's a couple second and longs where Vernon picked up some key first downs, even in the fourth quarter there, to extend their final drive before chewing up some more clock, right? So, but yeah, that play to Hollins, just a unbelievable throw, and there's been a couple of those this season that come to mind with Vernon where he just puts it in that window exactly where it has to be.
Yeah, Vernon 54 rushing yards on 7 carries. Longest was 18. I think that one you're alluding to, and out-dueling Tre Ford on the ground. But speaking of Hollins, we caught up with Batman. We talk about the Batman nickname and about the big win, his big catch, and a big challenge against Saskatchewan. We're in the line of fire here, but we're talking to Ali B, Alex Hollins, Batman. Some people call him. Who started the Batman thing?
My mama gave me that name when I was a kid, a real little kid. I just loved Batman. I used to always be jumping around, climbing on the couches and stuff, on the walls, breaking stuff. So she gave me Batman when I was a kid.
So if you're who's your favorite Batman villain?
Batman, just Batman.
No, Joker, Penguin, none of those guys?
Nah, none of them. Batman.
All about Batman. I love it. Well, you had a Cape Crusader-like performance. A big catch for you on a second down to keep a drive going in the second half in Edmonton. The offense needed something at that point. Ultimately, Smoke gets his second touchdown after. How big was that play, though?
That was big because I think it was 2nd and long, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 2nd and 10. So you just never know when you got to be that player to make that play. And our group, we all are big-time players, you know what I'm saying? So for me to make that catch, and then the very next play, Smoke pop it up the middle with like a 40, 50-yard touchdown. So that was great, man. You know, we just got to execute and make big plays. And so that's what we did as an offense on that drive.
A big talking point after the win was, as always, VA, a couple turnovers, but he just stays in there, bounces back, comes up big when it counts. How impressed are you with him?
Very impressed, man. You know, himself as a quarterback, you hate the throws that he misses out on or he makes an interception, but for him to continue to go on after making those mistakes and continue to make big plays for us, to continue to be a leader for us, like on the field, vocally, and on the sideline as well, that's big time. That's a player any team would love to have, and we're fortunate to have that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Saskatchewan here, third and final meeting, couple close ones with them. What type of a challenge do they pose defensively? Here's a couple other superheroes walking toward us as well.
There go little head right there. But look at him. Got a gumball head.
There you go.
But yeah, they're gonna come in and they're not gonna be a team that's gonna want to bow down. So we can't take this game like it's gonna be a cakewalk game or an easy game. We just gotta come in and execute. Last time we played them, it's a few plays that we missed out on. We wish that we can get back. We all as players wish we can get some plays back, but we can't think about that now. We just gotta focus on now, this week, and focus on them. And when the game comes, we're just gonna execute all night long.
Almost a year ago, you make your CFL debut, and I think the weather today kind of shows that summer's over. It's crunch time. Are you kind of more prepared for this? You're a Mississippi guy, but you've experienced the Canadian, at least cold spell in November. But are you feeling more prepared this time around?
Yeah, I feel more prepared. Honestly, what's crazy is, I'm from Mississippi, so it don't get as cold there. you know. But when I left Mississippi, I went to EIU, so I was in Illinois. Then I went to the Vikings, Minnesota. Then I went to the Browns in Cleveland. So now here. So I just been in the cold ever since I left Mississippi. But I just hate the cold with a passion. So I just gotta deal with it. Deal with it for 2 hours, 3 hours, and I go get back warm.
Well, let's talk about the good times then, because I know you're someone who really enjoys the outdoors here in Vancouver. So what were some of the highlights of your summer off the field?
Man, really just hanging with the guys. You know, I love going for walks, just going for walks, listening to music, finding a spot to sit at downtown, in the downtown area by one of those parks or a beach or something, Olympic Village. Just finding a spot to sit by the water, watch the sunset. And yeah, that's what I like to do the most.
Now, be honest, what was your gross grind time?
Was my what?
You were on the gross grind. I was rewatching the Ottawa game. 38 minutes? What?
I forgot.
How'd you, I think, in my peak shape, 50, 51, something like that. Not anymore. I'm lucky if I'm an hour 5 now, but.
Yeah. No, it's about the Gross Mountain?
Gross grind, yeah.
Oh, no. We didn't hike that. We
You just took the picture. Yeah. Oh, okay. You made it look like you were hiking it.
We weren't hiking. We took the little things up.
The gondola.
All right. Heck no. Yeah. We took those up. Nah, we weren't hiking that. Nah, my one of my friends from college and his dad, they came to visit me, and we had went to Bowen Island, and we went to the Gross Mountain and checked that out, and that's what they were doing, like the lumberjack activities and stuff, and they had the bears out there. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Well, next time, a good training regimen for sure. Take a hike up. Listen, Alex, I got a feeling that Commissioner Gordon bat phone is going to be ringing here. They're going to be calling on you. So let's go get another dub.
Yeah, let's get another win.
There you go, Ali B, Batman. The bat phone will be put to use, I think, like I was saying at the end there. And that's a guy who's just developed into a solid player, but very good presence in the locker room, on the practice field. Guys are singing, dancing, having a good time before they have to buckle down and get serious and focus on their assignments. Just a great presence to have.
And this is one storyline that I think maybe wasn't really featured in, or like the public eye didn't catch us, maybe if you're sitting behind our bench, but when the times were getting tough, Alex Hollins vocally stepped up as a leader. You see, we kind of showcase it on our social media channels of Hollins being like the fun, energetic kind of, I don't want to say goofy, but kind of just vibrant character in the locker room and on the field, right? But it was Hollins talking to Keelan Hatcher to say, like, hey, like, don't worry, like, we all got you, because there's a play I know Hatch probably wants back on that drive too, before that touchdown by Mizell. But I think Hollins is a guy who's really stepped up. It's crazy to think that a year ago today he was on the practice roster without a CFL game to his name, but
yeah,
it's come a long way in 365 days here, right? So he's approaching 1,000 yards, like you said, and I'm excited to capture him do it.
Yeah, and we'll get him actually going up the gross grind one of these days. I am very confident in that. So Hollins and the offense. If those watching this podcast, the rain coming down on Monday. Let's hope the wet weather doesn't play too much of a negative effect on the offense and trying to stay in a rhythm. Or maybe it's a good thing practicing in these elements, because you don't know what you're going to run into as we get closer and closer to November. The weather forecast for game day, though, Nick, looking a little nicer. So 7:30 kickoff, but maybe we'll have a clear night and an open roof at BC Place. Save on Foods Field is the venue. Let's talk about the defense again. Saw Ryan Phillips listening to a bit of the post-game show online with Moj and Julio on Saturday. A lot of credit to Ryan Phillips and his game plan. Seeing some of the Edmonton media guys, Dave Campbell, Morley Scott, pointing that out as well. Maybe that's a roadmap for future teams to use, because I think it's safe to say that Tre Ford is the future and the present with the Elks. But we're going to talk to defensive coordinator Ryan Phillips, decked out in his own rain gear, again, for those watching this episode, about the defensive effort in Edmonton. Well, RP, what was the template and what went into keeping Mr. Ford in check there on Friday night?
It was really just more so about just being disciplined more than anything. Understanding our personnel, understanding our strengths, and still wanting to play to that as far as being fast and then wanting to be physical. But we don't want to lay off on him as far as like everybody playing off and let him just run around and hope for dear life. We still want to put the pressure to him while still being able to play to our strengths. So, we just went out there and exemplified, our intangibles, and those guys, definitely deserve all the credit because the discipline that our defense played with was definitely second to none.
Anything on film that you've watched since that maybe you didn't pick up on that you liked or want to improve on?
Yeah, there's always things you want to improve on, whether if it's just tackling, some of the disciplines and things like that, penalties at the wrong time, those are things that you can't afford to have, especially going into this playoff run. So, those are always things that we want to continuously get better at. You want to stay healthy as possible, but the great thing that I did see is the fact that even when we had injuries, guys stepped up. We had to move some guys around and things like that, and that was huge for our ball club. So that way now it, kind of uplifts the confidence that we have in other guys. So our depth definitely came out, which was huge, and I expect nothing but greater things from this point on.
Speaking of injuries, I think the plan is to have Bo Lacumbo back this week. Just your thoughts on that and how quickly he is healed up and getting him back for the Final Four.
Oh, that's huge. This is a guy that is definitely a veteran on our team, a guy that was having a great season until his injury, and I expect nothing but, a great bounce back for him. So, he's always going to be a big part of our defense. He's one of the most versatile guys in the league, so he's definitely going to come back, make his presence feel felt, and we're going to make sure we put him in a position to be successful.
We're doing this in the rain for those watching this podcast, West Coast in the autumn. Does it give you the idea, though, RP, that these games are heating up and we're entering the fun time?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Anytime the weather change comes, you definitely know what to expect, right? You got a few games left. We control our own destiny, which is huge. It's something that we speak about, but we got to take it one game at a time. But, when the weather changes, it's time of real football. It's definitely going to be a time for us to step up and meet the challenge, whether that's physically, mentally, whatever that may be. We're going to make sure that we put our best foot forward and expect nothing but the best things ahead of us, and I expect a big win to come this Friday.
When it comes back to the game plan on Friday, RP, I'm watching the TSN broadcast and the panel's giving you love. Like they're saying RP's game plan, shutting down Tre Ford. And I'm not asking you to take credit yourself for everything. There's a lot more that goes into it. But at the same time, are you proud, along with Coach Brown, Coach Bowman, and Coach Tanya, are you proud of the game plan you guys put forth to shut down Edmonton?
Yeah, you're definitely proud when things actually come in, in full circle, right? You have great ideas and things like that, but it's nothing until you execute it. And I tell everybody, we can put together X's and O's, but we don't play. And still the credit goes to the players. We want to put guys in position where they can play to their strengths, and those guys went out there and did that. So, you see some guys stick out a little bit more than others, but it was a team effort. Even though one guy maybe didn't get the sack, maybe another guy cut Tre Ford off or whatever the case may be, and he was the actual guy that actually made the play. So, I'll definitely, say that, the credit isn't really to us. We just got to, put a format together and those guys go out and execute. And I'm definitely proud of the performance that they put on, on that day.
Looking ahead to Sask too, the last matchup you guys had with the Riders, it was very intense from field level. Baker and I definitely noticed that, whether it was Sione, GP, everybody getting really physical. Is that something that you're looking to repeat on Friday here?
Yeah, that's going to be our focus, right? We want to make sure that we stay in attack mode. And, whatever that looks like, we got to make sure that we execute it. So, they're definitely playing for their playoff lives. We expect them to come out, be aggressive. But while we're being aggressive, we got to be disciplined. We can't sit up there and interact with things that are going to, basically be a detriment to our team. So, we can go ahead and be physical with our pads, make sure that, we execute, make sure we make the big play. They'll give us some opportunities to make those. And I expect us to go ahead and play playoff football from this point on.
Playoff football. We like that. RP, thanks for taking the time. And I got to get one of these raincoats. That's sharp.
Oh, yeah, man. This is throwback, though. So, anybody that needs that, this is gone. This is straight for me.
Tape over any competing logos as always.
For sure. That's it.
There it is, RP, and the boys, you can just feel it, the defensive backs, especially the chatterboxes of that group, but the whole defense, they hear it. They, a lot of the prognosticators saying that maybe this was ripe for a disappointment or a tough game, and it was a tough game. Came down to inside 3 minutes again, Nick, like we've been seeing lately across the entire league, not just with our games, but when that unit brings pressure, when they get to the quarterback and eliminate those possibilities for the opposition, good things are going to happen. And that was great for RP in the defense.
100%. And it's not like you're going to pitch a shutout every game and the opposition's going to score points where Tre Ford's an elite talent. And I know one thing RP preaches to his defense is that if they're going to make a catch, like, you have to make them earn it. And I think about, there was a play at the end of the second quarter actually where Ford hit, I want to say it was Mitchell over the middle, and Marcus Sales got there right when he got the hands on the ball. And Marcus Sales delivered quite a big blow, like he's underratedly does from time to time. And the ball came loose. We challenged it, but it was ultimately real to catch, right? But
yeah,
I think that's the epitome of that.
Wasn't sure about that.
Is that Sales made him earn it. Like Sales put a lick on him, right? And I think that's the mentality this defense has. And another thing about this game too is when I was cutting up my game recap, the Road in 5 here, we always use Bob Marjanovich's play-by-play, and like any good radio play-by-play person does, Moj, right before the ball is snapped, he's always stating how many guys are rushing the passer. So he always says, Lions bring 4, Lions bring 5. But the thing about RP's game plan, that was, you could tell this by how Moj was calling it, was that Moj was having to correct himself. He's saying, Lions bring 3. Oh no, here's 4, here's 5. Because you have Adrian Green coming up. You have Quincy Mosier blitzing out of all these different spots. You have Matthew Betts blitzing us up from a linebacker spot. Like, just such a good game plan too. And it led to those 7 sacks, right? And now this is the Lions unit. Now that's second in the league in sacks this season too. So kudos to RP and the defense is my long point there.
Yeah, and a couple more for Matthew Betts. 14 now, so very much, again, within striking distance of Brent Johnson's Canadian record, which is also shared by Jamal Westerman. 3 more to match those two. All right, let's talk about Saskatchewan here. This Rider team reeling a little bit, coming back down to earth in a big way after defeating Winnipeg in overtime on Labor Day weekend. They go into Winnipeg and get manhandled 51-6. And their most recent defeat was one in Ottawa. Turnovers, the big key in that one, I think, from what I watched about it. Of course, that game was played right before us in Edmonton, so I did not get the chance to watch closely. But brushing up a little bit on it, this is a Saskatchewan team. The last few weeks, really, things just aren't going their way, Nick. We know injuries have played a role in it, but we've seen the third quarterback they've used, Jake Dolagala, had some success against us in Regina in August. But this is, again, another situation where this Lions team simply can't look at the other team's record because the Riders are desperate. They still have a slimmer of a hope for keeping with us as far as a home game race goes. But they don't even have the X next to their name yet. They have some work to do there to actually clinch a playoff spot. No Western team can clinch this week, by the way. We can clinch the home game. But, yeah, this is another one where we're going to expect an angry opponent.
Yeah, and I think if you want to look back to the positives with this Riders team is, you look back to that August 20th matchup against us where I think being objective, they were the more physical team, at least in the first half of that game, and it led to
came out aggressive.
Yeah, and it led to quite a bit of a wide lead for the Riders, right? And that was based off forcing turnovers, high pointing balls. I think of Samuel Emilus, their receiver there. He was high pointing balls all game, and it led to
highlight reel stuff.
Yeah, it's led to several big time plays for him, right? That changed the course of that game. So again, this defense knows that they have to come out ready from snap one, right? And because this Riders team's proved they can bring it, and they'll capitalize off the mistakes that you make, right? So we talked to RP about this too. Is that Gary Peters Samuel Emilus battle? I'm so ready for I'm so ready for round 2. So I'm gonna have my eyes peeled to that one because they matched up a lot back on August 20th, and yeah, it should be. I find that when we play the Riders, it's maybe the most physical game there is in terms of our opponents. So if you like pads banging, this is the game for you.
And you look the first meeting, the 19-9 Lion win here in late July. That was they came out aggressive again, and then that was the night Vernon Adams Jr. went down. Dane Evans came in and engineered the only touchdown of the night, and it was enough in a solid physical defensive battle. But you mentioned Emilus, guys like Kean Schaefer-Baker. They are strong on the ground and in the return game, so this improved Lions coverage units we're talking about, this is going to be a test. this Lions team just has to play a full 60 at home. As great and as exciting the comeback was against Ottawa, that's not how you want to do it every week. You're not always going to, that's like a 1 in 100 type of comeback we witnessed against Ottawa. Not discrediting it, but those are the facts. And the home game before that against Hamilton, that just was not the Lions' night in any perspective at all. So I'm looking for them to start fast, and I'm looking for them to keep the foot on the gas, because we want to establish our home as a fortress, because, again, we know we're going to have a home playoff game if we get this win, if we win one more down the stretch.
Yeah, and I think I was thinking back to that first meeting we had it was July 22nd against her.
Yeah.
I know my date. We both know our dates for every game. It's kind of...
It was after our first bye week.
I was actually talking with a friend the other day, just getting off topic here, but I correctly listed all of our games and the dates from last year. So I have that.
Yeah, we did that in Regina at our in 2021. Stephen and Chang and I did it too, right?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, we had that weeks ago, Nick. So, but that's good for you though.
But yeah, July 22nd against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, which is the 19-9 game at BC Place. You look at guys like Woody Barron had a sack, and I had a big TFL. Sione had another one, 2 on Jamal Morrow, because that whole D line and that win over Saskatchewan, they erased Jamal Morrow and the entire Saskatchewan run game, right? And that was huge. But even like just keep focusing on Woody here, like. He has 7 sacks in the season now. Maybe the quietest.
Shelby Avenue, you're talking about?
Yes,
Woody
Shelby
Barron?
Avenue. Yeah. Probably the quietest 7 sacks in the season. Like we're talking, Willie Jefferson has 8. Willie Jefferson and Woody Barron both have 18 tackles.
We talk about the guys on the bookends, Sione and Betts. Even a guy linebackers getting involved, right? You've seen Ben Haladik with a couple of quarterback sacks.
Quincy
Moje. So, yeah, you're right. Those guys in the interior, just something about them. They just do their thing. They don't always show up on the stat sheet.
What he is now, though.
Moj says it best. They don't always make the tackle, but they make the play.
Mm-hmm.
Guys like Josh Banks, Thibaut Debaye in the rotation. And that's good. Woody Barron was a guy that they were very excited to get in free agency in 2022, but... had his ankle injury, couldn't get onto the roster till partway through the year, and it's been great to see him healthy. And we said that in camp. Yeah, a healthy Woody Barron is going to be a difference this time around. So, those guys are going to be big as it's playoff-type football here continuing for the 10-4 Lions. Let's go around the CFL, shall we, before we're done? Right before us, so we're going to be... I would say I'm not sure we're going to be as glued to this game as we would have maybe a couple of weeks ago, but it's still very key. Toronto is in Winnipeg, so the Argos not taking their foot off the gas against Hamilton, just completely ran them out of the stadium, at least. I caught a good chunk of that game, a big pick 6 early on, and Chad Kelly continued to make his pace, but... I would still say they're going to get up for this one in Winnipeg, though, because they want to prove to Winnipeg that who the best team in this league is right now. Toronto is clearly at the top, and you can make a case for us and the Bombers being neck and neck right behind. But a Winnipeg loss here, Nick, it opens the door. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but it's the scenario. We have to say it. A Winnipeg loss here would actually open the door for this Lions team with a win on Friday and then a win over Winnipeg, could have first place.
Clinched. Crazy.
Like, who would have thought that 2-3 weeks ago? That we knew this October 6th Winnipeg game was just going to be massive. And again, we're just going to lay out the scenario as it is. We don't make the rules here. We're going to focus on Saskatchewan. But still pretty intrigued to see Winnipeg duke it out with Toronto coming off a bye, those Bombers are. But again, not quite the situation as it was a few weeks ago where you thought, okay, we need Winnipeg to lose one before we play them. It's not the case at all.
Yeah, and then looking ahead to October 6th, no matter what happens this week, the Winnipeg-BC October 6th matchup, the winner of that game is going to end the night in first place in the West.
Yes.
But yeah, there is, like you said, a possibility where it's a clinching situation for one of these teams next week, which is super exciting as well. But yeah, Toronto, Winnipeg, is Andrew Harris going to make his return to Winnipeg? He didn't dress last week.
I read he was placed on the 6-game injured list.
So it sounds like it's getting even more, well, maybe not even delayed. It might not even happen at all.
Is this his last year? Yeah. So...
sad, but they had a new running back, McMahon, who didn't fit right into the Argos offense. So they were resting a couple guys, right? Last week, AJ Ouellette also didn't play for the Argos, so I'm still curious to see how they balance out their roster with that. I know a couple guys went down for the Argos too last week. I know Sean Oakman was one, so interesting to see that. We've talked about it. They have first place clinched up, and it's still September. So to see how they navigate the final month of their season.
You think Chad Kelly's going to get a rest at some point? Maybe in the next couple of weeks. At some point, they don't have no more buys left for them in the regular season, right? They were done their buys by early September. So 5:00 Pacific. We'll be paying attention, keeping a close eye on that one. Lions and Riders, the game 2 of the doubleheader. Again, 7:30 kickoff, done with the 4 o'clocks at least until the playoffs. I think the playoff games start at 3:30, the semifinal and the division final. Saturday. I'm loving that.
Same.
Absolutely loving it. And we shift over to Saturday. Once again, it's a doubleheader Saturday. Montreal in Ottawa. The Alouettes. Sean Lemon. What can you say? Big interception, was all over the place. Almost had another turnover after that, I think. The Alouettes just stifling Calgary 28-11. So they're once again back in control as far as second place in the East. Montreal in Ottawa, of course, we talked about the Red Blacks hanging on, and you thought against Saskatchewan, can they possibly blow another one here? Didn't happen. Ottawa 4-10, but still very much with their backs against the wall. They just have to win the rest of their games and get some help. So we'll see if the Alouettes, first and foremost, can get motivated after a big win in Calgary, snapping their 4-game skid.
Yeah, shout out to Lemonator. Also had a walk-off sack pretty much to end Calgary's kind of final comeback bid in that win last week. But I think we've kind of said this all season that Montreal's record doesn't really reflect how strong of a team they are. I think they're right up there.
They're balanced, yeah.
Yeah, so this is a game that they have to have, though, right? If they want to put away a team that's below them in their own division and also do wonders in clinching a home playoff game, right? I think they meet up with the Ticats one more time this year, but if you go to
last game of the year, play.
If you go to 8-7, you're looking pretty, and I think they already have a pair of wins over the Ticats too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
from earlier in the season. So yeah, they're sitting pretty if they win this game. And for Ottawa, the playoffs started for the Red Blacks last week. They won their first game of the playoffs, and now it's keep rolling.
And Montreal's last win before beating Calgary was in Ottawa, the Caleb Evans touchdown scramble. You watched that at Victoria's Tavern.
Sneaky game of the year. Our
favorite road watering hole, if you will, in Saskatchewan. So, yeah, Montreal 7-7, and no doubt the pressure has been eased in the Alouettes camp following that one. So that's 1 o'clock our time. It all wraps up Week 17. Calgary in Hamilton. So the Stampeders coming. That's Dave Dickinson teams coming off a bye. You don't normally see that lack of execution, but maybe it's just not Calgary's year. Calgary in Hamilton. The Tiger Cats are 6-8 after falling in Toronto, and I got an early look at the scenarios, playoff scenarios. A Hamilton win here would eliminate a Western Division crossover possibility. So something to keep in mind. And yeah, Taylor Powell, you have to give him a mulligan because he's done an admirable job filling in for Bo Levi Mitchell and Matt Schiltz, but this would normally be Bo Levi's first game against his former team, but that's not going to happen. Hamilton doesn't go to Calgary this year, so again, when do you see that reunion, that return? But we shall see. Does Calgary find their way against a tough Tiger Cat team now? I'm not so sure, Nick.
I'm done trying to figure out the Hamilton Tiger Cats because they come in here, played an A+ game against us, obviously get the win. They host Winnipeg. Although it was a one-possession game, the Ticats dominated Winnipeg, and then they get dominated by the Argos last week. So they definitely have a high variance. I think there's still positives to take away from the Ticats, right? If you're looking at it that way. And then for Calgary's sake, you say you're not used to seeing them take a loss after a bye. I'm not used to seeing a Dave Dickinson team have 2 losses beside its name in the win-loss column when it comes to their 4-10 record, right? So just a disappointing season for the Stampeders so far. I mean, they still have a chance to save it and sneak in despite a 4-10 record right now, but it's kind of now or never.
Yep. now or never for a lot of teams. Thankfully, again, this BC Lions team banked enough wins in the first half of the season and the last couple of weeks, playoff bound. It's a special one, Nick. Our Orange Shirt Day game, third annual. It's presented by Prospera, BC Hydro, and Liuna Local 1611. The first 10,000 fans get the free orange shirt with the special Indigenous-themed logo by Corinne Hunt, and a little twist, the words mountain lion in the Squamish language will be on there. Very cool shirts. You're going to want to get there early to get this. We have DJ Osho performing some pregame entertainment. The Hallucination electronic rock duo performing halftime. It is the return of our Indigenous marketplace. Plenty of Indigenous vendors getting the chance to showcase and sell their products. And we're also proud to say this is a league-wide initiative this year. First time everyone's doing this. Going to wear some orange warm-up jerseys that will be auctioned off. Proceeds benefiting the Orange Shirt Society and the Indian Residential School survivors. So very cool to be supporting and giving back to that. And hope for a win as well. Would cap it all off. Should be a great night.
Yeah, Friday's going to be a fun one. Halftime, you might see me sneak out to catch some of that performance by the Hallucination.
Yeah, me too.
I've been listening to them a bunch lately, actually.
Me too.
Especially with our marketing materials having some of their songs featured. So I'm looking forward to that performance.
Awesome. All right, well done. Thank you to Ryan Phillips and Alex Hollins for stopping by in the rain, braving the elements.
It was hailing too, actually, to add on to that.
It was just kind of like, for those not familiar, the fall and the winter, well, you're used to this now. Sometimes you just get that cold, bone-chilling rain. It was kind of teetering on that today. But anyway, going to be more of those to come. It just means the games are getting more important. Playoffs around the corner. So be sure to subscribe, rate, leave a review. Thank you to you, the listener, above all. First and Now is the official Lions podcast, and we'll be back next week ahead of the Gravy Bowl.